Hi everybody, this is Doug at Willy Nilly's. We're going to do a quick run through of the basic fuselage assembly of the Sioux. We're going to break this down into two, maybe three parts for the fuselage because our internet is really slow out here and a half-hour video takes us about 14 to 16 hours to upload. So we're going to try to do this in about 10 to 15 minutes so we can keep you guys rolling on all these kits that you've had delivered. So let's get started. If you haven't already, print out your patterns for your fuselage. It's available on our website. There's a link on our website called Downloads. If you click on that, and you'll see a list of all the patterns and stuff that we have available. The Sioux is one of those. Should be at the very top of the list. If you go to the store and click on the Sioux itself, we're putting these links into the actual airplane descriptions too. And then on our Facebook builders group, we also have this file ready to download. We're not going to use this just yet. We're going to save this for video too. But go ahead and get that printed out and get it ready. We are going to pop out the fuselage sides. This is real light contest grade balsa, so you want to be just a little careful with it. Once it's all glued together, it turns into a really strong airframe, really strong and light. This particular airplane, we want to keep it light so it flies really well. Okay, get this other fuselage side popped out. It's exciting to see everybody getting their kits and starting building, and makes us think that what we're doing is worthwhile. Go ahead and pop out all these little parts, bulkheads. If you don't pop these out before you start gluing, you run a chance of the thin CA wicking into some of these, and then you have a real problem trying to get them all out. So do this before you start gluing anything. Only takes a few seconds. Okay, got all those. Don't pop those out over the kitchen table. Your wife won't let you build there again. Okay, there's the bulkhead sheet. We're going to use just about every piece here. Let's go ahead and pop them all out. We try to make these sprued in here where they're real easy to get out, but still hold in there for shipment. We're going to leave those in there for right now, just so we don't lose them, because it's real easy to lose little pieces like that. All right, we're going to pop the rest of these out. Pen or pencil works really good, popping all these lightning holes out. These lightning holes also serve to let air flow through the fuselage. Keep your battery and your electronics cool, because when you keep them cool, they last a lot longer, work more reliably. Just one of those things. Okay, we're getting close here. Okay. There's all the balsa pieces for the fuselage. Okay, then in your kit you'll also have a piece of plywood. These circle things here are your wheel retainers. They work really well. They're sized just a little under to be a force fit onto your 0.055 inch music wire for your landing gear. They work real well. They're light. Don't lose those. Keep them. You'll need them later. This piece right here is your firewall. It's actually upside down. That's right side up. 2 pre-drilled pilot holes for TDO10 or the regular Cox TDO10 glow motor, or for our TDO10 electric power pack. It uses the same mount pattern, so you can interchange as you like. This piece here is your landing gear doubler. We're going to cover this in the next video. And these two here are servo rails that will get glued in so that you can secure your elevator and rudder servo really well. So toss that to the side for a second. I'm going to go ahead and get that out of there. All right. You guys are going to be surprised how quick and easy this is. You'll notice that there's a kind of a scorch mark, smoke marks left from the laser, but you also notice that you have 2 clean sides. So in an effort to save having to sand a whole lot, put the scorched sides to the inside because you won't see them once you have it covered. Oh, I forgot to punch that one out. Okay. So do that. It's important for aesthetics. Okay. Let me regroup. I'm too used to doing this without having to talk. Firewall goes in the very front position. This hole is where your ESC wires and cooling air pass through. It goes just like that. Okay. F2, which is the second bulkhead, goes in the very next vertical slot. It's at a little bit of an angle. You can put that in there like that. And then you want to put this little tray in here. It goes in the horizontal slot just aft of F2. Okay. Then we have F3, which goes in the very next vertical slot. And then we have the aft tray, which is for your servos. You'll want to put the servo cutout facing forward because this airplane has a really short nose, so you want to keep everything as far forward as you possibly can. Okay. Then F4 goes right out the trailing edge of the wing, and it has cutouts for your push rods. They're a little oversized because of the geometry. They need to have a little room to move. But make sure the V notch goes towards the top. That's because to clear the dihedral in the wing. And you put that in there just like that. Now comes the fiddly part. Lining all these up. It takes, oops. If you pre-sand your pieces, you're going to have a little more difficult time getting them all to line up just right because you're going to take away the tolerances that we have in the cuts. So try not to pre-sand unless you really, really have to, because you're going to take the self-jigging away from what we've designed into it. So trying to do this and talk at the same time is about like standing on a beach ball, patting your head and rubbing your belly. So bear with me. I'm just about there. Okay. Once you get it all lined up, it'll pretty much hold itself together. There we go. Guess I wasn't holding my tongue right or something. Maybe I need to tell Mark to careful not glue his fingers to the airplane. Okay, so there you go. It's all lined up, and because of the way it all fits together, you cannot not get it square unless you twist it. Again, just light, gentle pressure is all you need to hold it in place. You don't want to force anything. Once you do that, then you can start running beads of glue along all the corners. Oh, looky there, Mark. I just glued my finger to the side. Okay. We'll do another one. Oh boy, Mark, I glued to both sides. Be careful not to glue your fingers. Oh, boy, that got a little warm. Okay. Again, just don't put a whole bunch of pressure. I'm just barely holding on to the fuselage while I'm putting this glue on here. And on the firewall, I go ahead and I glue it with a thin, and then we're going to come back and go over it with medium glue to really lock it in there good. Now we'll do the top side now. It misaligned on me just a little bit. Okay, just a little bit of pressure there. On to the next one. And we'll do the aft bulkhead here. And the servo tray. There we go, Mark. I glued my finger again. Okay. So that's how quick you can get that put together. In pretty good shape. So the next part is I got glue everywhere. Must be really running out of that capillary tube. Okay, so your next former, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, F5, goes in the next vertical slot. Again, just light pressure. F6, you want to put, you see these two holes that's your rudder push rod. We made this so you can have it either way and still make it work, but it has to go up. Put those two little holes that are closest to the top that way. Okay. Now you can just run a bead of glue. Careful, don't glue your fingers, Mark. All right. Got that. Did it anyway. Don't take much glue. Not much at all. Lucky there, Mark, I did it again. Must be a Friday or something. so you can double check, make sure you're still nice and square and everything. At this point, you can tweak it just a little bit. I must have held it twisted just a little bit. And once you do that, pretty much if you line up the top and bottom edges and the end, you're going to come out pretty darn close. Close enough that nobody's going to be able to tell. And I don't know if I can get this in a good view for you. Let's see. There. See how quick and easy that was? And straight fuselage. Okay, so remember those little pieces that I told you not to take out yet? Well, we're going to take them out now. All 4 of them. These are really important pieces. So don't skip the step. Do not skip the step. It braces your 2 shorter ones. Okay, we're going to start with the 2 long ones first. They go right here. And they're square, so it doesn't matter which way you do it. Just it's very important that you line it up with the top edge. Then I'll tack it in place. A couple drops of glue. This is really important to give this cabin the strength that it needs in case you dink a wingtip or have a little accident. It gives it the strength that it desperately needs to not break. Okay, I'm going to put the other one in here. Again, flush with the top. Hope you guys can see this. I got glue everywhere. A capillary tube must not be as small as what I'd normally like. One trick you can do on these capillary tubes is if it's coming out too fast, you can actually take the end of it and stretch it and then cut it right where you stretched it, and it will make the glue come out a lot smaller, a lot slower, and you won't get it all over yourself like I've been doing. So we're going to do that now. Okay, the 2 shorter ones go on the very next one. Again, it'll be flush with the top, and it'll sit right on. This one will sit right on top of the fuselage tray. Oh yeah, that's much better. Okay. And glue the other one on the other side. Let's see if I'm getting this in the picture good. And it will sit flush against the bottom of the fuselage tray. And flush with the top. Okay. There we go. Our basic fuselage. Okay, in your kit, you will see a blank piece of 1/16 contest grade balsa. This is how we're going to sheet the top and the bottom of the fuselage. So it's real easy to do. You square it square it up at the top there. There's plenty here to do the top and bottom, so don't worry too much. And we'll just glue it right on there, that side. And don't put any pressure on it so you don't twist the fuselage. Okay, now once you have that glued on there, you take your hobby knife and carefully cut along the edge. Balsa wood works best if you try not to cut it in one stroke. Do several light strokes. That way you won't tear out. Okay, so then you just keep going. You line it up like that. Just light pressure. Careful not to glue your fingers, Mark. And I'm going to go on the inside this time. Okay. And again, you take your hobby knife and lightly draw it across outside edge. Well, I generally give myself about a 1/16 to 1/32 past the fuselage side, because it's real easy to sand this off. You just keep going until you reach the end. It's really that simple. This cross grain gives this fuselage a tremendous amount of strength. That's why we didn't do the typical grain that runs this way with a self jig, because it just wasn't needed on this scale of an airplane. And to keep this tail as light as possible, we really need to do this cross grain. Okay, let me turn this so you guys can see. Okay. Now we're down to the last piece. Just put a little glue right there. Don't move your fingers, Mark. Okay, now that piece is done. So we'll turn that off. There you go. I know it looks kind of ugly right now, but it doesn't take very long to sand these edges smooth. And it turns out really light and really strong. Okay, then we're gonna, after you do the top, you can come back and you can do the whole bottom. Yes, it's the same method as we just used on the top. Just line it up square with the firewall and the fuselage sides, glue it in place, trim it off. Continue on down till you reach the tail. Okay, so I think that's a good stopping point right now on the fuselage. So we're gonna cut this one and upload it so you guys can get going on your fuselages, and then we'll start working on video 2, which we plan on covering the landing gear and possibly the front wing dowel mount, because it needs some reinforcement that needs to be described and videoed so you can figure out what I'm talking about. So until next video, have fun and God bless.